Hello, welcome back. My name is Charlie, and I thought it'd be fun today to hop on here and do a little tag video. I've seen this one floating around a little bit on the internet. I watched Tori Talks Books. She did a really great video on this. Talking Story, they did theirs, and I believe they referenced Robert G., reader of books, as the kind of creator of this tag. I think he posted his video like 5 months ago, where he talks about this and he lists out the questions and things like that. And anyway, I watched those videos. I thought they were really fun. And I don't know. I had thoughts I wanted to share. I thought that maybe somebody would find this interesting too. It's possible this won't be very interesting. Those channels that I just referenced are much larger than mine. So maybe it's like a more interesting conversation when it is these larger channels. But for some reason, I felt like it'd be a little bit of a different take coming from a smaller channel like my own. And like I said, I thought the prompts were interesting, and I thought this would be fun to make. I think the tag is just called the BTS tag. It's just a behind the scenes look at what it's like to be me running this channel, a little bit of insight into what goes on in my brain and maybe my basement office when I'm putting these videos together. Without any more rambling from me, I'm just going to dive into the questions. The first question of this tag is, when you record, do you read from a prepared script, or do you refer to notes or a broad outline, or just make it up as you go? And for me, I've tried a little bit of everything, and sometimes it's a little bit more structured, sometimes no structure whatsoever. For a video like this, my notes are just, I have the questions up on my screen, on this half of my screen that is just off of what you're seeing here. I've angled my laptop, or not my laptop, my camera, so that you just see this background. I don't know why I did that. I think it looks better than just a blank screen. Anyway, so that's all I have for this type of video. It's just the questions, and then I'm reading them and I'm coming up with the answers as I talk to you. For most of my videos, I think most of my videos, I will just do like a bulleted outline of my notes. It's, if it's my wrap up, I will just write down the names of the books that I read that month, right? So, I read this book, I will write down my star rating. And then if I have any specific things that I want to call out about that book, like a specific thing that I just want to make sure I mention this word, like say this word or phrase when you are talking about this book, I'll write that in like a little bullet under the initial bullet. But that's pretty much it for those videos. I guess the channel stats portion of my wrap-up videos, I will also write down, like +8 subscribers, like this video title had this many views, and that was my most watched video, right? Like I'll write just bulleted notes, very, very brief. That's most of my videos are that level of notes. I think often that I probably should do a little bit more scripting, and like that I should have scripted probably this video, right? Like a tag. I think of that as something that I should do. And that's just because when I don't script it, I start talking and I don't stop talking. I think often that I probably should do more scripting of my videos. Like I probably should have scripted my answers to these questions before coming on here to answer them. But I don't know. I feel like it feels more natural to me, or it feels more, not natural, but authentic, even though they would be my answers if I did script them. It'd be the same answers, but they'd be more tailored and more potentially well thought out and more well put together. And I wouldn't be tripping over myself, and I wouldn't be rambling. Like I ramble a lot in my videos, but I think people like that. I think that feels like a regular conversation with a regular person, which is what I want my videos to feel like. There are exceptions to that. Or maybe there is an exception to that. I haven't done board game content in a long time. I really like making it, and I want to make more of it, but the last video that I did in that vein was it was like a how to play type of video. And that video took a lot of work, and it kind of just, it didn't it didn't make me want to do more board game videos right away. And then it's been a while. I will be getting back to it because I do genuinely, I like doing it. I enjoyed making that video, but part of the, like the a lot of work went into that video. Part of that is that I did write a full script. I wrote every word that I was planning on saying. I didn't stick to the script, but I could have. I could have read word for word what I wrote and have had a nice video made off of it. But I went off script here and there because I just can't not do that. But I did do that, and I thought that would help me, and I thought that I'd be able to just like read off of like a teleprompter, right? Like I had my iPad next to my camera, and I thought I could just do that, but I just couldn't. It didn't work for me. I didn't try to like memorize the script, so I was reading a sentence and then trying to say it, and it ended up taking way longer, and it was way harder. It did not work for me at all. So I don't know that I will ever fully script out a video again unless I just did like a voiceover for that portion, for like the scripted portion of the video, which I could do for a board game type video, because it could just be the board and like, the pieces that I'm talking about, and then I could just be reading from a script and you would just hear my voice over that. I think that's the only time that I would want to fully script something, is if it's going to be fully just a voiceover. But if you're going to see me, I just can't do that because it would just be me glancing back and forth at my written down words and the camera, and it doesn't work. It takes me forever. Not helpful at all. I can't do that. But like I said, when I don't script these videos, you get really long, rambly answers like this one here. But that's what you get when you come to this channel, I guess. And maybe that's fun. I do think, though, that a written down, bullet point list of the notes that I want to talk about, the talking points for the video, is pretty critical for me. So I do that. For almost all of my videos, I have something written down. The next question is, do you edit your videos before posting? Do you delete any hems and haws, misspeaks, mispronunciations, public speaking foibles? Do you delete things that you didn't mean to say, or things that you don't want to be misconstrued? Yeah, absolutely, I do that. I think I typically edit out more than I need to and less than I want to, if that makes sense. Like I do think my videos are typically too long, and it's just because I just talk a lot when I make these videos. I get started and I don't stop, and then the editing floor is filled with sentences that I've started and didn't finish, like sentences that I couldn't find the end of the sentence, and so it's just like, okay, that's unusable. Or it's also filled by just multiple takes of the same sentence, and I'll say the sentence, I'll say the same sentence, or really like the same thought, like 7 times, and then the end, when I'm editing the video, I have to either choose one of those 7 takes, or sometimes, fairly often, especially at the beginning of me doing this, it's less frequent now, I'll just cut up all 7 into one new Frankenstein's monster sentence, and hopefully it's not too noticeable when I do that, but sometimes I just have to, because sometimes I was not able to in one breath say a full sentence that made any sense, really. So I do that a lot. I edit out a lot of my a lot of my breathing. I don't edit all of it out, because I think you need some. I do explicitly leave in a lot of my stutters, and a lot of my and likes, and a lot of my breaths, some of my laughing that I'll do if I say something ridiculous and then I laugh at it. I leave that in, because I do want this to feel, and I think I've already said this, like a conversation with a friend. So that's very intentional on my part, but I do also very intentionally cut out a lot of all of that. I say a lot. I stutter a lot. I don't like have like a full on stutter, but I'll say the same word several times, right? Like I like that right there. I just did that. I guess that's kind of a stutter. I don't know what that's called, but I do that a lot, and sometimes I'll leave that in. Sometimes I won't. I'll take that out because I don't like it, But it depends on how many times I've already done that in the video. Sometimes it's not too often that I will edit out entire like trains of thought, like things that I said that I decide after the fact. This doesn't have to be included in the video. It's not that I ever really say something that I think somebody's going to be offended by, because I'm pretty careful when I talk in general not to offend people. But sometimes I just don't think it needs to be said. Something that I said in the video, it's just like, okay, it's off topic, it's irrelevant, or it's just unnecessary. So sometimes I will cut things entirely. So it happens, but it's really infrequent, and it's just when I go off topic. But I'm not really ever afraid of being taken out of context or misconstrued. Maybe I should be, but that's not the case. On my first ever like book haul video, I talked for 10 minutes, I think, something like that, all about how book hauls are, they're a little dicey, and they're, blah, 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 consumerism, blah, blah, blah. Don't feel bad if you don't own a lot of books, things like that. Things that I think are true. And I agree with those sentiments that I said in that video. Not that I said just here, because that didn't make any sense. But, I talked a lot about the nature of book haul videos and how, what their intent is versus what the impact of them often is, and how I was just highlighting the intent of the video, and it went on way too long, and I sent it to my friend before I posted it, and I was like, is this a little too much? And he was like, it's a lot too much, take it all out. So I did, and the video was much better for it. But that's the only time that I can really think of where I redacted a whole chunk of the video. But again, it's not that I disagreed with those words or that I wouldn't say them to a real human being, but it's just they didn't belong in the video. The third question is, have you ever deleted a post entirely? Yes and no. Essentially, no. I have not. I have never posted a video and then later gone back and taken it down for some reason. I could see doing that potentially, but not really. No, I couldn't. I guess I see why some people might do that. So I see why, if you make a video and it's a controversial topic that you're talking about and whatever, and then later down the line you feel like you've changed your mind on that, it doesn't reflect your current values anymore, and so you take it down. I don't talk about hot topics like that on this channel. I don't really think I ever will talk about anything controversial here other than like my own opinions on things, but that can stay here. Like, it'd be about like books and games. I don't get into the drama of the internet very often. I try to stay out of all of that. So yeah, I don't think that would be a thing that I would really have to do. The only time that I have done it, and the reason that I said like yes and no, but essentially no, is that I did it one time very early on when I posted a video, and then I was watching it, and I like missed several things that I wanted to edit out. Like 2 takes of me saying the same thing were back to back, and I was like, oh, I don't like that, and I got really nervous that everybody's gonna hate it, and I deleted the video right away. I messaged friends, and I was like, I can't believe I did that, and they were like, I watched the video, I didn't notice that, nobody would care. Don't ever delete a video again for reasons like that. And it was really shortly after the video went live, but it was, I don't know, 20 views that I sacrificed to the YouTube gods, and it's fine. I took the video down. I edited out those things that I was upset about, or not upset, but I was annoyed that I left in, and then I reposted the video. So it wasn't a big deal. But I did technically take a video down once. So kind of, but no, not really. Are there certain topics you avoid, things you regard as too personal or controversial? Yeah, there definitely are. And I touched on that briefly in that last one. I will avoid things if I think that they're controversial. There are YouTubers out there that cover a lot of topics that I wouldn't go anywhere near, and I don't hold that against them. But it's just not what I want to do. They talk about things. They have a take on a subject, and it's a spicy take, and it's it feels like you're posting this knowing that you're gonna ruffle feathers, and that's, again, fine. That's you do that. People watch those videos. Those videos get huge. But I'm staying in my lane, and it is on the other side of the highway. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not interested in that. I don't want my comment section blowing up with people disagreeing with me on real, like, moral issues. I'll disagree with you about a book I like that you didn't like all day. That's totally fine. That's just like healthy conversation. That's fun. I want to talk about my opinions on the books that I'm reading, the games that I'm playing, the movies that I'm watching, things like that. But I don't need to get into the like any, again, internet drama type stuff. I'm just not interested in it. It's just not for me. I will say that while I wouldn't ever lie about my opinion about a book, if I'm reviewing a book, or if I'm just talking about, in my wrap up, I read this book, and here are my thoughts on it. Those are always going to be true. Those are the thoughts that I have. And so if I didn't like a book, I'll tell you that I didn't like a book, but I try really hard not to ever say this book is bad, right? I think the book that I talk about most often on this channel as a book that I dislike is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. And I try to be very careful in that I mention that obviously this is, for all intents and purposes, a good book. Han Kang is a Nobel Prize winner for their writing, right? Like, this is, they know what they're doing. I can't outright say this is a bad book. That's some people's favorite book, and I would never want to take that away from somebody. I would never do that. But I will tell you that I did not get any enjoyment out of that book. That book was not for me, and I try to be really clear about that. I try not to, shoo someone away from trying a new book or a book that they think sounds interesting. I don't like that somebody might come to my channel, hear me talk about a book, and then write off a book entirely. I try to highlight some of the redeeming qualities about a book if I am going to harp on the negatives. I hate the idea that somebody might come to my channel, watch a video that I make, and write off a book that they think sounds interesting. That's happened to me several times before, where I want to read this book, and then I go watch somebody talk about it, and they say it was terrible, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a terrible book. I hate that book. I'll never read that book. And I don't want to do that. But I will give you my opinion on a book and try to highlight some of the things that the book did well, that the author did well when they wrote that book. I try to do that. I don't know if I'm always successful. I think sometimes I come across a little more negatively than I intend to, even on books that I really, really, really like. I think it's sometimes easier to talk about the negatives. The negatives are the things that stick out in your brain more, especially when I'm being spoiler free. It's hard sometimes to talk about the things that went really well in this book without just saying world building and characters and like the staple things that I want out of a good book. Those were good in this book. So that's hard, but it's for some reason easier to call out specific niche negatives while being spoiler free. I don't really know why that is, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is I don't want to bash a book, and I really don't want to bash an author, and I really don't want to bash like a small author, like an independent author, like an independently published author. Like, again, using Han Kang as an example, Han Kang is a massive author, so I feel like I can say that I didn't like that book comfortably without hurting them and their career, right? I mean, who really am I hurting as a small YouTuber? But who am I hurting? I could potentially hurt a small author, right? There are indie authors out there who are writing fantasy books, and I read independently published books. And so if I'm talking about independently published books, which are already going to a niche audience, that niche audience might be watching my niche videos where a small channel, might be talking about a book that not a lot of people have heard about. Not a lot of people even know that book exists, let alone like have read that book. So I do feel like there is a little bit of a responsibility to just, if I'm going to talk about that book and I know that the audience is small, to highlight the redeeming qualities and to tell you why that book might be for you, why you should consider that book, even though it didn't work for me. I think that's important. That's like the least I can do. If I badmouth a Brandon Sanderson book, he will never know, and that will never impact him. But for a smaller author with a smaller audience, like a debut author or something like that, I don't ever want to take away a sale from them, if that makes any sense. I think that makes sense. I think that's fair of me to say. Do your posts include graphics, special lighting, fast cuts, things like that? Yeah, sort of. I will put the name of a book and the author of the book up on the screen, along with some cover art of the book. I'll add that in post sometimes. If I own the physical copy of the book, I'll just hold it up and just put the name of it on the screen. And if I don't own the physical copy, I'll put up a picture of the book. I do that because I've heard people like that, and I like that when I watch videos, because sometimes your mind wanders and I don't know what book this person's talking about. Let me look at the screen, and there they have the cover. That's great. Now I'm back in the video. So I think that helps. So I do add that. It does add a little extra work into the edits, but not a ton. It's not a huge deal, and I think it's worth it. I think that's a worthwhile addition to my videos. Do I watch videos by people who don't do that? Yeah, and I don't hold it against them. I don't really care, but I want to make that kind of video, so I do those edits. As far as lighting goes, I do. I was almost going to say that I don't, but I do. I have a lamp right there. I have overhead lighting, which is not ideal. And if I turn this lamp off right now, the video looks like this. It's especially because I wear this hat now, because I have to shave my head now, so I'm real shiny up there. So I wear a hat when I film, and that darkens my face. So that's the camera, 45 degrees to my right. Typically, I have a little light that we just had in the house already. My wife got it from her last job. It's like a little ring light. She just got it for being on video calls because the company paid for it, but she doesn't use it. So here it is. I have that. And I think it helps. I think that improves the lighting here. I would like to someday have a better lighting setup, but I don't want to put like real money into this yet, because I'm not making any money out of this. And it's just, it's a hobby. It's a fun thing I do. I make the videos look as good as I can with what I have. I'm very fortunate that we happen to have this nice light. I'm also very fortunate that I even have this microphone. If I didn't have this microphone already before I did this, for literally the same reason, again, at my wife's last company, the same one where she got this lamp, she got this microphone, again, for her video calls. Again, I stole it. So I do have, I guess, special lighting and special audio equipment. Do I need any of this? No, I absolutely don't. Did I have this at the beginning? I guess actually I did have this microphone, but I didn't have the light, I don't think, at the beginning. I don't think so. And my lighting was worse. My audio has improved over time. My lighting has improved only by getting this light, but I don't really know what I'm doing. So I just put it there because I think that looks good. As far as music goes, I do include music sometimes in my videos. I have my outro and my intro that I put together like a long time ago. They both have a song with them. I haven't changed that since I found those. Occasionally, I will add in music during a video, maybe just once. Was it one time that I did that? My vlog for my reading of the failures, I added in a lot of music for my B-roll there, but that might be it. And all of my music has come from the YouTube Studio audio library, which is just like free music that anybody can use, like royalty-free music. And I don't even use the ones that you have to credit the musicians. I just use the ones that YouTube licenses out for free, or not licenses. They let you use for free. Anyway, it's all free. It's easy to use. That website. You go there, you add some filters, and you listen to a lot of music that you would never want to put in your video until you find one that you do. Do you have a target number of posts every week? 1. My goals are set very low. I want to post once a week. I sometimes have to miss even that. Very recently, I had to miss one post. I don't have time to do more than that. I should. Very busy people, much busier than me, do this and post way more often. But because of the way that I film these videos, because of the way that I edit these videos, I don't know how to do it any faster. People seem to be much quicker when they edit than I am, and I must be doing something wrong, but it takes me a very long time to edit my videos down, even though I'm not doing very many fancy things. I have my outro and my intro all ready every time. I just have to stick the new video in between the intro and the outro, and then cut out things that I don't like. It takes me forever. So I don't know how people do it. I think part of it is that they are more eloquent than me, or they can string together sentences easier than I can. So the better you are at the filming piece, the easier the editing piece is. So this is what needs work, is what you're listening to now. Me talking, that needs work. If I ever can fix that, if I can speak more clearly, like right away, that will mean that I can make more than one video a week. But right now, it's really, really hard for me to do more than that. I would love to do 2 or 3 a week. That'd be really cool. I just can't. I can't make it work. But that's okay, because right now, if I were aiming for 2 a week, I think my quality would go down, and I don't want that. I'm happy with the quality of the videos that I put out, even if I'm not necessarily happy with the quantity. I think I would, just because I have fun with this, I would have fun making more videos and interacting more with, but I'm just not able to, and it's getting harder and harder too, just because of life circumstances. So I'm holding on to what I have as best I can. Are there certain themed posts that I contribute to regularly? Yes, I have my monthly wrap-ups that I do at the end of every month, although I think I'm going to start doing those at the beginning of the following month going forward. That's irrelevant, but I think that's what I'm going to do for those. But yeah, I do that every month. Ends with me talking about what I've read in that month. I really like doing that. I'm going to continue doing that. I also have this TBR culling series, I call it, where I will, I have an export of my Goodreads want to read shelf, and I go through that export line by line, and I take things off just based on kind of vibes, and I read through the synopsis, and I decide right then and there if it needs to stay on my list. And then I interact with people in the comments where they'll tell me if I've made any mistakes. And so there are a bunch of videos on that I've been making almost monthly. There have been a couple of months, including last month, where I've had to miss it. Those videos take a long time to make. It's at least an hour of filming, but usually more, and then at least like double that to edit it. So they're not. It's not a difficult video to make because I don't need to do any of the graphics or anything like that, but it just does take time because I have to listen through the whole hour of the video. And even though I speed it up, it's a lot of work to do. So, yeah, sometimes I miss those, but they're really fun. And that series is coming to a close soon, and I have to figure out something to replace it because those regular videos, like the series that I have, they do make it just easier logistically for me, because I know what I'm filming. I know 2 videos a month right now. One is going to be the cull, one is going to be my wrap up, and then I have to come up with just 2 other videos, which is just that's not so hard, right? Then that makes it, keeps it easy, keeps it fun, and keeps it keeps me more regular in terms of my uploads, because I don't have to like scramble for ideas too often. This next question is a doozy, so I'm gonna read it off the screen because there's a lot to it. It says, how important to you is the number of your subscribers? Is there a target number you're hoping to reach? If you don't hit your target, would you consider dropping out of Booktube? Are your posts designed to attract new subscribers? And are you distressed if you lose subscribers? So there's a lot to this one. I wish I could say that I fully didn't care about the numbers on YouTube. And for a while, I think that was true, because when I started this, I didn't think anybody was going to watch. I didn't think anybody was going to subscribe, other than like my friends that I already knew in this space. Like I was already friends with other booktubers, and you know, they're the people that had encouraged me to join Booktube, and so I knew that they would subscribe, and I was like, cool, I'll have 6 subscribers and I'll just make videos for them, and it'll be another way for me to communicate with them. And that is how it was for a while. And I had more subscribers than just them pretty quickly, and that was fun, but I didn't really care about that. But for whatever reason, and I don't know why, very recently it's like started getting to me, not getting to me, but I'm checking the app way more often than I used to, because there's a YouTube Studio app where you can like refresh it and you can see your subscriber count. You can see your views for each video and how many comments you have and things like that. And recently, for some reason, I'm thinking about it more, and I'm going back to the app and I'm refreshing more, and I don't know why, and I don't like it. That's new for me, and I don't like it. I don't have any great expectations for this channel. I don't think that I expect this channel to be huge at any point. If it does, that's great. That'd be super fun. But I don't know that I think it will. The growth started pretty strong. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was the growth was just happening kind of more organically at the beginning, and now I feel like I've been just like more stagnant than I was at the beginning of this, which makes sense. You know, you kind of plateau at a certain point with a lot of things, and I think that's kind of where I am right now. I'm in a little bit of a plateau. You know, it's still climbing steadily, but slowly. So it's first. I think that's maybe that's why, because it's slowed down. Now I'm like, oh, okay, what am I doing wrong? As far as a target number of subscribers, no, I don't really think I have anything like that. Again, I didn't expect to have any subscribers, so setting a target just doesn't feel right. I mean, I like kind of 1,000, right? Like 1,000 is the target to hit on YouTube. And that is just because on YouTube, if you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of viewed content, watch hours, they call it, then you can monetize your videos, and then YouTube will pay you for the videos that you put out, right? So it is kind of a loose target for kind of everybody on YouTube. A target that exists over there, but I'm not necessarily aiming at it, if that makes sense. If I hit it, that's cool, but I don't know if I will. And that's probably because, you know, are my posts designed to attract new viewers? No, typically not, right? I have that TBR culling series, which is like not a thing that I've ever seen anybody else do. So like, that's not a searchable thing. Like I mean, it is searchable. You can search for that, but people aren't going to often organically come across that series. Plus, when they do come across it, I'm now like 10 episodes in, and I don't know, I think that is off-putting to people. I get a couple hundred views on those videos every time they come out, and the people that engage in those videos are there, and a lot of them have been there since the first one of those. And so I love those videos. I think those are so much fun, but they are not videos designed to attract new viewers. I do book reviews when I have a book that I want to talk about. Book reviews do not attract a ton of viewers to your channel. Occasionally I'll post a board game video on a Booktube channel. That's not gonna bring in new subscribers. You know, and then there are like the tags, those you know, I don't know if they really bring in a ton of people, but I think that is essentially the I guess, is that the motivation? I don't know. That's not why I do them. I do them because a lot of the times they're just fun lists of questions. But I don't know. Maybe those bring in new people. I don't know. I guess we'll see if this one does that. I don't really think it will. I don't think they do. So no. I make the videos that I I want to make. If I don't find the video interesting, I don't think it's going to be fun for you to watch. So I don't have those targets and I don't have those goals. And so because of that, no, I wouldn't quit because I don't have so many subscribers by this date. That's just not, it's just not in, I don't have that plan. So I can't be disappointed if I don't have that plan. If I hit 1,000 subscribers, that'd be really cool. That's like a loose target. That would be, that'd be great. That would change this channel a little bit, I think. Or no, honestly, though, it wouldn't, because I'm so far behind on the watch hours. hitting 1,000 subscribers still doesn't monetize this channel, because especially in like 2 months, I'm going to lose a lot of the watch hours that I've accrued at this point, because it'll be the anniversary of my most watched video, and the watch hours are, you have to hit, did I already say this? You have to hit 4,000 watch hours. So 4,000 hours of people watching my content in a 365-day period to go monetized. And so in 2 months, when I get past the anniversary of my most watched video, my watch hours are going to start decreasing by a significant amount, because again, that video has like almost 5,000 views, I think, which is, I don't know how many hours, but like at least 500 hours of my total watch hours are in that one video. So once I get past that video, it's going to get harder and harder to climb back up to even where I am right now, which is like 2,700 watch hours, I think. And so I don't know that I think I'll ever hit that 4,000 watch hours. But, never say never. It could totally happen. It could happen, at any time. But again, I'm not aiming directly at that. So I won't be disappointed if I'm here at my second anniversary and I still don't have 1,000 subscribers. I'm not monetized. It's not going to bother me. This is still a hobby. This is still a thing that I do for fun. My screen just turned off. Do you always respond when tagged? I think there are two meanings to this tagged piece of this question. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. So do I respond to somebody tagging me in a tag video, like a video that is a tag like this one, this BTS tag, which by the way, nobody tagged me for this one. I'm just doing it because I think it's fun. I've only been tagged like that a couple of times, and I have like a 50-50 whether or not I'll get back to doing that tag video. It's just, sometimes I can fit it in my schedule. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes the tag, like the prompts in the tag, I don't think are things that I could add interesting context to. So, sometimes I won't do that. Sometimes I want to, and I just can't get around to it. I can't fit it into my own schedule. There's one floating around that I got tagged in recently that I liked those questions, but I just haven't been able to fit it into my schedule. And then there's also tags in terms of like, if another channel mentions me in their video, and then they'll put in their description of their video, like channels mentioned Charlie read a book. In that context, yeah, I will go over to that channel and I will thank them for tagging me in their video. I think that's really nice, for mentioning me rather in their video or in their post. A couple of people have posted about a video that I've made, and that's super sweet. That's really nice. Nobody has to do that. You don't have to talk about me in your videos. You don't have to talk about me in your posts. You don't have to share my videos. Nobody obviously has to do that. But that's super sweet. So yes, absolutely. I think at least that I have every time gone to that channel or that post or that video and thanked that person. And I watch the video in full if it's a video, and I will comment if I have thoughts on it. So yeah, I always appreciate that, and I always try to do that. Again, for me, being a smaller channel, that's easier to do because it happens very rarely. So when it does happen, I'm able to do that. I could see how that could be hard if you are much larger, if you have 100,000 subscribers and you're getting tagged probably very often. But while I am me and I am small, absolutely. Every time I will do that. Similar question. Do you always respond to viewer comments, and are your responses lengthy or just like a thumbs down up or a thumbs down or whatever? Yes, I have. At this point, I have responded to every comment on my YouTube videos. I love that. That's my favorite part of this, I think, is the comments. Having people watch my stuff and then leave a comment, I think is wild. That's a crazy thing that people take the time out of their day to do that, to have thoughts about my thoughts. Insane. So yes, absolutely. Again, I am tiny, so that's easy for me. I will say it's getting a little bit harder recently for me to keep up, especially with comments outside of YouTube itself. But that's not because I'm getting too many comments. Honestly, it's just I just don't have time. I scramble for time recently. This is taking a lot out of what else I need to be doing. But again, this is something that I really want to prioritize, is making these videos. Even tonight, like right now, I sat down in this chair and I had to decide, should I sit here and respond to some comments that I have, or should I film this video? Because I'm so tight on time right now. I've mentioned, several times on the channel recently, but I'm having a baby soon, and I'm working all day on furniture and building out my room, like the nursery for this baby, and I'm trying to get the house ready and everything. And so I'm scrambling for time. So yeah, I sat down in this chair and I was like, okay, I can respond to, I think I have like 6 messages right now between various different apps like Fable, Goodreads, Discord. There's several places where people do message me. And recently I have not been very good at responding in a timely manner on all of the apps. On YouTube, I am still pretty good. There are a couple the last video, or like this last week, there have been a couple that have gone under my radar for a few extra days than I would like. But that was just because I thought I got them, but I had missed them. So that I apologize. But if it's outside of YouTube, it's for whatever reason just a little harder for me to respond to. It's like YouTube, then Discord, and then all the others kind of fall in the next bucket. It's just harder for me to get around to those apps for some reason. But if you are somebody who messages me outside of this platform, please know that I want to, and I will respond to all of your messages. I love that you left me that message. I really appreciate it. Please don't stop. It's just a little hard right now for me to get back to you quickly. And again, it's my favorite part of this, so really don't stop. I'm really enjoying that. But it's just hard recently. In terms of the length of my response, almost always my response is intended to mirror the length of your comment. That's a look behind the scenes. That's my goal, is to mirror you in that way. That's just what I like to do. I think that's nice. That's what I do. There are a few people who leave very long comments, and they're very fun to read through, and they're very fun to respond to. And I try to respond to every point that I have genuine thoughts on. I'm not going to just like make up thoughts on something that you said, but most of the time, if you're commenting, it's something interesting. And so I do have thoughts on every point, and so I will try to, like, in order, respond to all the points that you made. And yeah, again, I do that because I think it's fun. There have been a couple times where somebody just says, like, this was great. And so all I say is like, thank you so much. That's super nice. So short comments, where it makes sense, but sometimes they are warranted a longer comment. So you get a little bit of both from me, honestly. You get what you put into it, sort of. Not that you have to leave me longer comments is not what I'm saying, but I try to mirror is all I'm saying. And the final question is, have you ever blocked someone from viewing or commenting on your posts? No, I'm very fortunate in that my community, or like the community that watches my content, you're all very nice. So I haven't had to. There's been no need. I'm also not under. I also am very aware that I am a straight white man posting videos here in a very tiny corner of the internet. So I don't have to deal with things that a lot of people who aren't straight white men do have to deal with. I'm not a target for a lot of internet creeps, which it's a bummer that is what the world is, but it is. So I know a lot of people who, again, are not straight white men who do have to deal with that often. And I, again, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that, because it doesn't sound fun. So no, I haven't had to block anybody from viewing or commenting on any of my stuff. I'm very fortunate in that I have not had to deal with that, but I would not hesitate if somebody did come into my comment section and say something nasty to me or another commenter or something like that. I would block them instantly without hesitation. So I don't, no is the answer to the question. No, I have not had to do that, but I would, and I probably will have to in the future. That's the short answer. And that's it. Those are the 11 questions that were in this tag. I thought that was a lot of fun. I hope that you got anything out of this. If you watched this and you have a YouTube channel, consider yourself tagged. I would love to see more people doing this, just because, again, I think these are fun prompts, and I want to know what you think, what you do. So I'm not going to directly tag anybody in specific here, because I don't want to pressure you into doing this, but if you are willing to share, consider yourself tagged. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you are not yet subscribed, and I will see you next week. Bye.